Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And BlueDragonFive.
And welcome to the highly anticipated event where we cover the most wholly original of the Disney Channel film roster. They may not be animated classics or billion-dollar blockbusters, but for those who grew up with them, the nostalgia factor can't be beat. So, look up your descendants, grab your high school yearbook, activate your smart house, and get even. Steven. We're taking a trip down memory lane and revisiting some of the most memorable Disney Channel original movies. This is
DCOM-ARAMA.
Woo!
Woohoo!
All right, and joining us tonight, of course, I believe this is your fourth appearance on the podcast, Katie. You're carving a niche for yourself out on our channel, and I really appreciate it. Give it up for Katie Mary Garland.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
AMG.
Oh God. All right, welcome back to the channel, Katie. So glad you decided to come on for us with this. Of course, the Even Stevens movie is probably the most nostalgic out of the four DCOMs that we've covered. Of course, High School Musical, nostalgic for a certain crowd, Katie, yourself included. Disney Descendants, nostalgic more for our audience, including Donovan Martin. This one, I feel like for our panel, all three of us, this one just kind of brought us back, man. This one brought us back to the early 2000s, back when Shia LaBeouf was just this sweet little, like, teenage, acting kid, and, God knows we didn't know any of the shenanigans he was going to get into later on down the line. He was just kind of this baby-faced youth that Steven Spielberg was drawn to and wanted to work with, and it's like, oh, man, that kid's going to be a big deal. And so just generally speaking, jumping into my thoughts on the movie, and then we'll kind of just go around and give our theses and nostalgia and all that before jumping into the characters and breaking down the format. I really like this one, but at the same point, I feel like this one is messy as all hell, but in kind of a good, interesting, funny kind of way. Like, this movie is ambitious, man. It really is. It's like, for a 90-minute movie, it manages to squeeze, like, a Nolan level of, plot twist upon plot twist into the proceedings. Like, this is basically the DCOM equivalent to the Truman Show, and I kind of dig it for that. And, it's definitely right up your alley if you grew up with Even Stevens. Of course, Christy Carlson Romano and Shia LaBeouf are kind of like the reason to watch this show and this movie. Their chemistry with each other is just kind of like, the back and forth tension, but then the loving sibling dynamic underneath it all. They really just fire it on all cylinders in this movie. I gotta say, Beans doesn't hold up whatsoever.
Agreed. I didn't like him originally, but yeah, go on.
Yeah, that was an issue, but yeah, I mean, other than that, I had a lot of fun with this. I don't think it's as well produced as High School Musical 2. I would say High School Musical 2 is probably, I'd lean that way in terms of the better movie. But this is definitely more nostalgic and fun and just kind of like a crazy, just like, oh man, this is, they're really kind of throwing throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks in terms of the insane plot that they cooked up for this thing.
I thought it was a good plot. Sorry.
I'm not saying it wasn't. I'm just saying I'm just saying it was ambitious and kind of crazy.
Yes.
Maybe not crazy with like a capital K, but just kind of crazy, just like, it's
wacky.
Well, yes, like regular C crazy, not K crazy.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's a difference. You have Craig, like that's beyond crazy. It's spelled wrong, and then you have like, it's just crazy. It's like crazy guy.
I wouldn't even go capital C. I would just go like lowercase c crazy.
All right, fine, lowercase c crazy.
I didn't know there was like a whole semantic chart we had to follow with our crazy vernacular.
Well, I mean, they have to go through all sorts of. We're trailing off the.
You got to take a number and then.
It's like right semantics with glue companies. It's not important. Anyway, getting back on point.
So, Katie, your thoughts on this movie, just generally?
Yeah, it took me back to when I used to watch the show, and this was like my first like Disney Channel show that I was like into. So it just like brought back memories of like having a crush on like Shia LaBeouf and Twitty, and kind of like growing up with them because I was like, oh, I think I'm like the same age, or and I totally forgot that she was graduating junior high. I was like, oh man, I feel old. Like the fact that the opening was junior high. But yeah, I think High School Musical 2 was like the better, like obviously there was just like better, production value. Like some of the things were really cheesy and fake, but I think that just added to the nostalgia factor. And yeah, like as a Disney Channel original movie, it's definitely like one of my favorites.
All right, Dragon.
All right, so for me, the Even Stevens movie is an example of kind of the tropical vacation finale for
Brady Bunch.
Yeah, Brady Bunch. I was gonna say, yeah.
Yep. For an original series, and a prime example of the DCOM based on a Disney series. Because I believe that's the kind of the first time we've reached it, kind of going through here. Because I believe Descendants created a series. Well, again, they have like spin-off series for the Descendants. I'm sure there's again they have like Lizzie McGuire as well, which I forget if that counts because it was released theatrically.
Yeah, we talked about this. I don't think Lizzie McGuire would count as a Disney Channel original movie.
No,
it was released theatrically.
It was released theatrically, but it was the same idea. Like they released it like to end the series, and that was
exactly.
the Stevens movie. They like released it like to end the series. I guess Hilary Duff just was more of an. Isn't that funny that like Hilary Duff was like, yeah, she's the name, and then like Shia like blew up.
Of course, Hilary Duff. We never heard from her again.
I know, seriously though. Like, well, she's on that show Younger now, but.
Oh right. Oh, she's on Younger, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
She's not like the main girl, but she's like the friend, I think. I don't know. I haven't watched it. But
I'm just glad she's still alive because you didn't hear from her for God knows how many years. Like she went to the Bermuda Triangle of Hollywood or something.
She got married and had a baby. So
that's good for her.
And I think got divorced too. I don't know. She had a lot of personal shit happening.
Gotcha. Yep. Anyway, so let's see. So this film overall, this does provide a sense of closure to these characters, and through a predominantly kind of stagnant story, as in like nothing really. They don't really change who they are. Like the story's pretty straightforward. It's pretty standard. There are twists and turns. Don't get me wrong. What I mean is like it kind of we take these characters, we give them closure and kind of a premise. It's like, okay, we're taking them on vacation. That sort of premise. But obviously, there's some interesting twists and turns along the way. It relies on the kind of our cast of lovable crazies in an equally absurd setting for a change, which usually, the show which just kind of like shows kind of an average world where we have these crazy characters kind of in them and bickering and such and pranking each other and so on and so forth. But
Even Stevens was very much the Disney Channel equivalent to the Adventures of Pete and Pete.
In a way, basically it was kind of the more, I think it was a little I think it popped a little bit more in Pete and Pete, but yeah.
Well, I personally think Pete and Pete popped a little bit more than Even Stevens, but just because Pete and Pete was weirder. Like, Even Stevens definitely had more of a mainstream appeal to it, if that's what you're talking about.
I think that's what I'm getting at, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never got into Pete and Pete. I feel like it was more for, like, guys, maybe. Whereas, like, Even Stevens was for, like, all my guy friends and girlfriends liked it.
Yeah, Pete and Pete was a weird one because you had to specifically, like, it was definitely like the show for brothers to kind of bond over. And, I kind of had that with my brother a little bit. So
I think the cleverest,
definitely more guy humor in that show. Artie, the strongest man in the world.
Anyway, I think the most interesting
Shut
thing.
down. Sorry. Anyway.
So I think the most interesting thing for me on the rewatch of this is that I love them. Again, it's completely lost to me. Like, it's been a while since I've seen this movie. I mean, it hasn't been that long, but I mean, it's probably been a few years since I've really watched the Even Stevens movie. Because, usually when it used to come on kind of regularly, and then it's kind of dried up for a number of years, I guess. And it's basically, if it came on, it's like a blue moon than it used to be. And I just love there is a great meta quality to this. That thing really hit upon me on this rewatch here, where there's meta quality to we put the Stevens family on TV as we've experienced them for at least 3 seasons of television. So they're kind of like they are put with it. There's a show within a show type deal, which I guess never dawned on me in the past watches. Like, oh my god, that's really clever. It's kind of interesting meta quality to this movie. And again, maybe not as basically the movie again has that going for it, the meta quality, and again kind of the twist and so on and so forth. But
it's literally got a twist within a twist, which I really appreciate.
Yeah. But the issue, I guess the kind of the downside for it for me is that maybe it's not as final or as encompassing as for a passerby as it should be. As in, like, this, again, it is a finale movie, but again, the movie's trying to kind of breach two things. It's trying to be like, if it's been a while since you've seen Even Stevens and you just jump into it, you'd hope this would summarize a lot of the stuff that's kind of in the show, right? And it's kind of an ending and taking these characters, but it's not really kind of the show. Like the first 10 minutes, that's the show, and the rest of it's okay. We're just taking them and putting them in a new location. So again, it's kind of wavering on two things. Being kind of a final adventure doesn't really quite check all the boxes. Like, yeah, you want all these things, kind of like you want to kind of celebrate the show fully. In the last,
some of the side characters in this show aren't really represented that fully. For example, Twitty and Tawny are kind of like they get stuff to do, but they're a little bit on the sidelines.
And that's what I'm talking about. It's stuff you would have serviced if it were a little bit more kind of tied to the show, but they're trying to be a little bit of both there. And that to me is like that's the main dig I take against this thing. But I mean, on the overall though, again, that doesn't really hurt the movie for me personally. Again, a lot of nostalgia fuel in this, but I mean, it has that working against it, but on its face, it's a lot of fun, and it's like visiting an old friend you haven't seen in a long time with some fun characters you may or may not have nostalgia for, but you've taken them. It's like you take these characters and you take them on a summer vacation. That's pretty much what it is.
Yeah, I agree, but I feel like they had to, come up with something to like warrant a movie. Otherwise, it would just be like a really long episode.
Exactly, and that's the thing. That's
always the challenge with adapting TV shows, of course.
In Disney Channel original movies, as we kind of started with when we talked about Descendants, there's always kind of the balance of the cell, where Descendants is all cell, where it's like, hey, we're taking the big Disney classic characters, and there's the next generation of them. Here's the cell, buy the toys, buy the show, buy the Descendants T-shirts, man, do it.
Whatever the kids are buying with Descendants these days, I don't even know.
All I know is like you go into a Disney store, you're going to see Descendants merchandise somehow. Point being. Descendants apparently has some stay power, and that's what I'm saying. You have to sell like it's Even Stevens, but you got to check it out because they're on vacation. But it's not exactly a vacation. It's going to be quite the ordeal for the Stevens.
Quite the ordeal.
Quite the ordeal. Survivor meets Truman Show. I think so.
Yeah, was this was pre-Truman Show or after Truman Show?
No, this is post-Truman Show.
And this was definitely pre-Bachelor, and I'm like, hey man, they kind of were ahead of the curve. I liked this plot twist. I thought it was, I don't know, I liked it. Because if it was just them on a vacation, I don't know, I feel like it would have been.
No, I totally agree. If it was just them on vacation, then I feel like it'd just be a long episode.
I feel like the movie has a lot going for it beyond what people give it credit for. Because some people, I think for the most part, they it's kind of again they like the performances, but on the flip side of it though, it's that again we're not really aside from that twist, which I think gets lost in when people kind of think about this, or if they don't really kind of go back to it and rewatch. It's like, oh yeah, it's the one where they're on the island, but it's like no, remember what happens to when they're on the island? They have this big, awesome kind of twisty reveal. Like, oh yeah, and that's buys back a lot of points. I feel. All right. So, staying nostalgia, well, real quick, I wanted to give some shout-outs here, because we have Alley Cat Grant from the Discord page for Just Giggle It. I believe a Just Giggle It fan. If always kind of talking about the content on JGIs. Always welcome here, of course.
Yeah,
Alec,
and I think she has her own YouTube channel too. I think.
let's shout that out, guys. Check out Alley Cat Grant's stuff, because I know Alley Cat Grant's always talking about the content that she's doing. That many a time is kind of synonymous with some of the stuff Just Giglet's doing. So definitely check it out, guys. Do that.
Yeah.
Also, Pink Pearl Disney Wishes is going to be joining us for a little while before she has to go. But again, all are welcome here. Glad to have you for a little time we have you for. And also wants to say that this is one of my favorites. This is one of my favorites. Been a few years since I've seen it, but it is fun. So again, kind of simpatico with, I think, overall how we're kind of.
I mean, it's like I feel like this is one where it's like there's not a lot of people who are going to be like, oh man, like High School Musical definitely has a crowd of detractors. Where it's like maybe they were a little too old when it came out and they're like, oh, what's everyone's deal with High School Musical? But Even Stevens, I feel like that's a show where it's like you'd be hard pressed to find people who have genuinely negative things to say about Even Stevens.
So
true.
Yeah. Sorry. I was just going to say, speaking of that, let's transition, because we're kind of talking a lot of nostalgia now. So let's just let's go specify the show a little bit here. So overall, just the premise of being Even Stevens. Like any residual nostalgia you guys want to kind of dish out? Like what?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I remember about it really is that it was definitely the main Disney Channel show that I'd watch with my sister, and for obvious reasons, it kind of became like a brother-sister bonding show for us.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah. So. But yeah, other than that, I honestly didn't watch it that much as a kid. For me, in terms of Shia LaBeouf, I have much more nostalgia around Holes than anything else from this time period. Which, of course, we've already talked about Holes.
Holes rocks, man.
About how much we want to, talk about Holes on a podcast in the future. That's definitely something we might have to cook up. But
Boulay Hill, Madame Zeroni, what's not to love?
Madame Zeroni.
Madame Zeroni.
But yeah, just overall, like I said, I honestly, like, when it comes to looking back on the show, like, it's not like something like Recess where I can just point to specific episodes. Like, I barely remember any of the episode premises or anything. But what I do remember very vividly that this movie captures really well is just that great kind of like back and forth, tension-filled, but ultimately loving dynamic between Christy Carlson Romano and Shia LaBeouf that I think they just capture so well.
Yeah, Even Stevens is a show that if it were on, I would basically would rerun and would marathon a lot of days back in the day for me. So I'd watch it if it were on, because like, oh yeah, Even Stevens. The main draw for me with Even Stevens was Christy Carlson Romano, who of course did the voice of Kim Possible. It's like, oh my goodness, Christy Carlson Romano in live action. I got to check this out. And then watching the show is you have that, and you have Shia LaBeouf, and it's like, oh man, they're it's so plucky and so fun. I'm sorry, Katie. I feel like I cut you off.
Oh no, that was like, is that dead air or did it? No, I was just active.
No, you're all good, Dragon. I totally do not feel cut off at all. You put your paranoia at rest.
Well, I love the stop motion, the opening. That was the thing that always kind of stuck with me in terms of nostalgia with Even Stevens, because they had that stop motion.
Oh my god, I'm so with you there.
At the time, it was impressive. Bear in mind, now we've leaps and bounds with stop motion now, but this is like during the day, like where I would find stop motion probably something like Kablam. That's the closest thing I would see to stop motion back in the day like that.
And Milkman with the power to melt.
Oh god, I love the
melt
action.
Ice cream.
Oh goodness! Oh, Action League now. Just where art thou? Anyway,
where art thou? Oh dear.
So many happy memories about Action League now. Anyway,
wow. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to go down a rabbit hole with that.
Okay. Anyway, so a little. Did you know this is like one of the most viewed? Well, for me, and I think for a lot of people, this is actually one of the most viewed DCOMs.
I'm not
really.
Well, at least before High School Musical rolled around, I think they held the record before that. Before that came around, I believe this movie held the record. And
I believe that because that show was so. I mean, the Even Stevens show was so popular.
Yeah, and for me, I mean, this was. I would go based on my two favorite DCOMs off the top of my head are probably this, and if I had to pick an easily favorite, even beyond this one, I love 'Twas the Night with Bryan Cranston. Katie, do you remember that one with Bryan Cranston?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I forgot that was a DCOM, Disney Channel original.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what my favorite is?
Tell me.
Xenon. I loved Xenon.
Yeah, honestly, Katie, Xenon was one that I kind of regretted that we didn't make it onto the roster this year.
Like, and I remember like downloading like illegally the songs like
Ooh.
zoom 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 make my heart go boom boom supernova girl and like burning it on CDs.
Oh my god.
The kids these days don't know how like good they can just listen to Spotify now. We had to actually go seek it out.
Oh, I know.
Oh, guess who's listening, guys? Say hi to Piper.
Oh, hiya, Piper.
Nice.
The pipes are here.
I texted her the link. I was multitasking.
Glad to have you.
Yeah. So sorry, I got distracted. But yeah, Xenon Girl of the 21st Century. The first one was my favorite. I also really liked the second one.
Yeah. Oh, while we're reminiscing, I wanted to ask you guys. I wanted to pose this question to you with the nostalgia section. There's one last thing that really is on my mind. Of course, the reality TV definitely plays a role.
Yeah. This is my area of expertise, I feel.
Yes, I can't shut them up about Survivor, folks. I don't have to tell you. But
did you ever get the Survivor bug at all, even back in the day? Out of
curiosity. First season, I was into.
Okay.
And then I think they like moved it to Thursday nights, and it was competing with Friends, and I was like,
Tribbiani wins out.
Always. And then and then I went to college and was like, I don't have time for TV. Although I did, but like, you know.
Fair point. Survivor is like my sport as far as I'm concerned. But yes, Dragon, in terms of like the reality TV of it all, of course, I already cited The Truman Show. I'm sure that was a big influence on this movie. It's got to be, especially like all the cutaways to the townspeople watching back at home. You know what I mean?
Basically, Donnie's kind of in the Truman shoes, actually, in this movie.
Donnie? Oh, yeah. I forgot they had an older brother until I went back and rewatched this.
Well, he's not as obscure as Chuck from Happy Days, thank goodness.
Well, I was going to say, I feel like I'd equate him to Francis from Malcolm in the Middle.
Oh, yeah, they always write out Francis. I have such a
Malcolm
in the Middle. There were episodes that I just hated of that show, but of course, Cranston.
No. That's the Bryan Cranston.
As I was about to say, again, the thing, Malcolm knows that I do love, the one constant, though, is my love of Cranston within that show, though. That's the one thing. Even for me, some of the worst episodes, like, oh, Cranston, he's a godsend to the show. Like in that one episode, literally the mother Lois, she's abusing the Dewey, and it makes no apologies for it. By the way, she just keeps hitting the kid in the airport like by accident, and she keeps again. The Cranston gives this hilarious side story, it saves the episode in part. Like that's always I go to that one as like one of the worst ones I've seen because it really is not good. But anyway, sorry, it's my own little hang-up. Anyway, but with reality shows though, oddly enough, when this thing came out, I think that was when I was starting to get into the reality shows a little bit. So again, this was kind of around that reality show boom. Yeah,
I was gonna say it was right around the time where they were starting to become like a thing. Like, I mean, yeah, Real World and Road Rules had been around forever, but that was really it.
On The Simple Life, The Surreal Life, you know, all those like celeb reality shows on VH1 and MTV.
Yeah, for me, I had a little bit of Fear Factor back in the day, and
Fear Factor was more of a game show, but that's anyway.
That was technically reality, though. Yeah.
Was it technically reality?
Well, I don't know.
It wasn't much. I mean, it wasn't much of a.
It had a rotating cast, though.
Yeah, it's true.
All right, fair enough. I'll give you an actual reality show. Okay, Who Wants to Be a Superhero? That was the one I was really dialed into, though. That was a good. That was a fun.
Oh, I do.
Stan Lee was in it. Yeah.
Okay, also before we move on from nostalgia, I have to bring up my favorite Even Stevens episode.
Please do.
It was the one where Ren gets really sick and she has she goes into a dream and it's like a musical. Do you guys remember this?
I vaguely do, but remember, it's been a while, so the specifics of the episode.
And she goes to school and she's like, haha, sorry, I was sick, because we don't realize it's a dream at first. And then people just start bursting into song. It's so I like still remember the songs. Like Lewis, played by Shia, he has a song where he's like trying to get out of like gym class, and he's like, I always find a way. You guys, I remember like watching the promos for this, being so excited for this, like, and then like watching it, and I think I even recorded it on like a VHS and like watched it over and over. And there's another song where like she's stressing because she didn't like do a report, and like Lewis is stressing about going to gym, and it's called Sixth Period.
Okay, that rings a bell. The sixth period
Sixth
thing.
period. And then the coach has a song. It's I'm the master of the gym. Move faster for the master.
Yep, rings a bell. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and then Ren has a song. We went to the moon in 1969, not 1968, but a year later.
Yep, I remember that one, Crystal. Yeah, there's okay. Now it's coming back into that one.
I loved that episode. That whole episode, I think, is on YouTube. Anyway,
well, a lot of them actually are, possibly the whole series, but I know a number of episodes are.
Yeah, that for me, like the nostalgia factor, like that episode is just like, yeah, that was my middle school. Yeah.
All right. Okay, so let's. This really has little to no background whatsoever. I'd do some real digging to get anything on this, but let me share the very little I could find on this real quick. Go by in like less than a minute.
There was a show, and it was profitable. That's
so, as we've already been over, I mean, the movie served as the series finale. Now, whether that was a goal from the absolute outset, or it was just kind of a situation where they were doing this movie and the season was kind of reaching its end, because they were both made within the same year of each other. Season 3, which was the last season, and
there was only 3 seasons. God,
I know, trippy, right?
Yeah.
It felt like more, but I think there were long seasons. I think that's why. If I
whereas like today it's like 8 episodes.
Very 8 episodes, yeah.
Like, oh, Barry, you guys are obsessed.
Yes, we are. Yep.
Sorry, but I cut you off. Continue.
No. It's let's see. So this was actually there was a plan. This suggests that the movie was planned to be the ending, because they actually planned to introduce a character within the series to kind of set up the movie a smidge, and they didn't end up doing it. So Gil, Ren's boyfriend that she breaks up with, they were going to introduce Gil in like the surfing episode in season 3, I believe, and they cut him out for time. So basically, that's why she's like, Ren has a random boyfriend she's been with, sort of thing. So she tries to break up and dump some slow moving syrup on, which does not go her way.
Right.
And one little fun fact: Josh Keaton's in this movie.
Who's that?
Josh Keaton is a very talented voice actor. The thing I think people know him best for, and I think one of the great roles, in my opinion.
Michael?
No,
Josh Keaton, who plays Mutai and Jason.
Yes, that one. He's thinking of not. He's no relation to the Batman, Tiki.
Okay.
Oh, known for Hercules, the cartoon.
Yes, but I'm thinking more specifically. I mean, yes, that's one he did, but I'm referring to Spider-Man from Spectacular Spider-Man. Basically, he's done Spider-Man a bunch of times, and he was kind of basically in the tomes of history. He's like one of the great Spider-Man voice actors. He's pretty much the fan favorite of all the Spider-Man voice actors. Like him and Christopher Daniel Barnes are like the top 2 guys, because he did him in Spectacular Spider-Man, which is kind of essentially it's the best animated Spider-Man the best Spider-Man series that we've got. That one.
Oh, so interesting. Okay.
That's when the movies keep trying to pull from Spectacular. It's really that good. That's why I have a lot of Spider-Man Homecoming. They're pulling from Spectacular, even the Amazing Spider-Man movies, which didn't really get a lot of traction. They're born from Spectacular, so Spectacular is really big.
Cool.
It's cool to see him get some live action work. That's really refreshing.
Yeah, for him.
Yeah.
All right.
That's all I got. So.
Okay, so should we move on to plot summary?
Yes. So I think it goes a little something like so. All right, so So after Lewis pranks Ren on graduation day, the Stevens family is picked to go on an island vacation. All is lush and tropical and fun until Lewis accidentally destroys the sacred hut, which leads to Lewis. Anyway, so the sacred hut gets destroyed, falls apart, completely in shambles. Boo-hoo. Not good. Bad stuff happening there. So they get shunned by the native people of the island. They get shunned, which means they're on their own. The family essentially now stranded on an island, are struggling to survive, or so they think. Because thanks to Lewis's friend Twitty, they're actually on a reality show. They're on a reality prank show, Family Fake Out. And which is managed by Miles McDermott. Miles McDermott, they're nice, friendly travel guys actually working against them as the host of Family Fake Out, who's orchestrating all this unfortunate stuff that's fallen upon the poor little Stevens family.
Which is played by the guy that was on SNL.
Yes, Tim Meadows, the wonderful Tim. I love Tim Meadows, man.
When I was rewatching it, I was like, oh, I forgot it was him.
Yeah. Of course, the big thing Tim Meadows is on now, he's on the Goldbergs, and he is on Schooled right now. He's a more prominent role in Schooled. He was promoted from the guidance counselor to the principal, so he's a regular, one could say, a principal character on Schooled.
And he was also in Mean Girls.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that looking him up, yes.
Yeah, that's what I'll always know him as, because yes, I'm basic, but that's
Would you say that you're basic? Sorry, I'm quoting The Good
basic.
Place. I'm just quoting The Good Place with that, forgive me, folks. Anyway.
I love The Good Place. You're basic. Who says that again?
Who does the show, or who?
No, who says you're basic?
Oh, it's Kirsten Bell.
Right.
Eleanor's runner. You're basic. Even Michael gets a chance to say, you're basic. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway. So basics aside here, so the family, all this stuff drives the family crazy, to the viewing audience's amusement.
It essentially becomes Family Feud meets Lord of the Flies.
In essence.
Oh God, it's not that dark.
Well, okay. At one point, it looks like a sister throws her brother over a cliff.
And they are eating slug.
I mean, yeah, it does get that dark.
But it's all in good Disney Channel cheesiness. Fun.
Oh, of course. Sure. Kind of Lord of the Flies for kids. So it's up to Twitty to loop the Stevens in, which leads to the family banding together. And they're banding together to pull the ultimate prank on Miles. In other words, the Stevens get even.
But
That's the movie.
Well, yeah, and I will say the biggest plot twist as the viewer is because you're in it with them, thinking that they're just on this family vacation gone horribly wrong, and then you see when it kind of zooms out and it's oh, it was a TV show, but then we're in on it way before they are.
Exactly.
Honestly, I think the bigger plot twist is probably the one at the end where the Stevens kind of get won over, because we're kind of in the position of Miles in that moment.
Right.
Although I'll save that for your favorite moments, Katie.
Yeah, let's not gild the lily too much here.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny that you just are using that phrase. I just was reading this is going to sound so pretentious, but whatever. I was just reading a Tennessee Williams play, and the main guy says to the girl, you tend to gild the lily a bit. And I was like, what the fuck does that mean? Who says that anymore? And I looked it up, and now you're saying it. That's so funny.
Yep.
How do you say it?
Really coincidental. What do you know?
Yeah, okay, so that's the summary.
Yeah.
On to characters. Lewis, I'm going to kick this off. So, can I say pre-Zach was Shia. I used to have such a crush on Shia LaBeouf. Actually, when I got back, so when I first saw Hairspray, and that's how I kind of got the crush on Zac Efron, just in the theater, I was like, that's when I was like, who is this person? I was originally supposed to go see Transformers because I like was so in love with Shia, and none of my girlfriends would go see it with me. And I was like, you know what, fine. Like, I just got back from studying abroad. I want to go to a movie with my friends, you know? So, and I was like, oh yeah, Hairspray looks good. Yeah, like that guy's kind of hot. Oh, I like Amanda Bynes. And then, yeah. So then Zach swooped in. But pre-Zach, I was all about Shia, like starting with Even Stevens and then Holes. And then and all my friends were like, "You're crazy." And then I made them see Disturbia, and they were like, "Oh, okay. Now we get it. He is hot."
And I have a lot of nostalgia for Disturbia. That was definitely a good turning point for Shia.
It was such a good turning point. And then he did, I don't know if you guys remember this, but he did Dumb and Dumber, the prequel when Harry.
Yeah, I remember it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I read.
He was the guy in the mascot costume.
Yeah. And I think back in the day when I was in my Shia obsession, I think I remember reading that he originally like auditioned for the young Jim Carrey character, but they didn't want him for that.
He was also Will Smith's sidekick in iRobot.
Yes, iRobot. Oh, and he also had like a weird cameo in another like dark movie. What was the one where like was like Lucifer a movie first or Constantine?
Yeah, Constantine. You're thinking yes, Constantine.
He was in Constantine. He had like a really small part in that.
Yeah.
And then Charlie's Angels 2.
Oh yeah, you're right. He was in that.
I'm pretty sure like Charlie's Angels 2, Holes, and the Dumb and Dumber prequel. I'm pretty sure they all came out the same summer. Like, and that was the summer that I was just like, I was already in love with Shia from Even Stevens. Like, I always thought he was so like something about a guy that's just hilarious. I found very attractive. Yeah, and then when he started doing movies and like actually getting more attractive, like physically, I think it was that summer that he was like in all three of those. And then Disturbia, and then of course Transformers was like his big thing. And then he did the new Indiana Jones. Remember?
Yeah.
And he was actually shooting that on his 21st birthday. I remember like watching this interview of him like crying, being like, I get to do what I love on my 21st birthday. And then poor guy just started going off the deep end.
Well, I believe it kind of started with Crystal Skull, because that's when he was like really ticking people off in interviews, saying, "Yeah, the movie's no good," and of course, that really ticked off Harrison Ford.
Really?
Yeah.
After it came out, like, right? Well, obviously.
It was like after it came out. Yeah, that's what they did, like press or something for it, and that's when he
like
kind of was going to shoot. Yeah.
Wow. You know, because I felt like, and I felt like they were setting up for him to be like the next Indiana Jones. I don't know if you guys remember the end of that movie.
Oh, I remember the end of that. Katie.
Okay, yeah, where he like drops the hat and Shia is like gonna go pick it up or whatever.
Yeah, not this time, kid.
Oh no, you don't.
Yeah, and I feel like they wouldn't have come back just to shoot one more. You know what I mean? I don't know. I always felt like there was gonna be another one, and he kind of like pissed people off, so they're like, never mind. But I don't know. I could be wrong.
No, I think you're about right on
that. But yeah, okay. So Shia plays Lewis, the lovable younger brother. Yeah.
I like that. I can speak to Dragon when I say this. I like that Lewis is kind of like a gadget head.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I love that. Like Lewis. Of course, we have the old LaBeouf charm as of yesteryear, kind of like brimming through this movie. Like, oh, there's that old LaBeouf charm. There's Lewis. He's up to he's kind of the innovative thinker. With the pranks again. Like if he really applied himself, he can do some really good stuff. But right now, it's just like he's content staying at home. Kind of maintaining the status quo. With pranks and TV and such. Yeah. He was kind of wise. He's the wise guy, kind of the instigator. He's. But the thing I always love about what Shia LaBeouf did, and even I think it's even more apparent in the movie to an extent here. Believe it or not, I love that Lewis, he is a wise guy, he's a wiseacre, of course, but I love that he is good-hearted, but he's a good-hearted kid with no impulse control whatsoever, but he's a good-hearted kid. Like, there's the bit where he destroys the hut and he's, talking to his mother and he's saying, like, Mom, I didn't mean to, do it on purpose. I wouldn't have, He's like, he's being really genuine with the apology. There's the root of that character right there. It's like, he's mischievous, but, that's why the parents defend him, like, oh, he means, well, he's got a good heart.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, what's interesting about the setup of this is that, he pretty much gets deliberately framed for the mayhem that he's often known for causing. Like, oh, that Lewis just destroyed a whole ancient temple just by pulling it over.
Why did he go like sit in that chair? That was stupid. But like, it shouldn't have like made the house collapse, but that was stupid.
Literally, it was like a Tom and Jerry thing.
Even if he had just broken the chair, like that would have been pretty bad. Like, bro.
It was like a "do not pull this lever" sort of move. Like, it literally said like a sign like "do not pull," and
it said "do not." Oh, like it said "do not go into this room," and he's like, "Huh, whatever."
Yeah, exactly. He's literally like, whatever. Oh man,
I love what kind of drives Lewis here, and we kind of get to the heart of it with the movie as well here, where it's he's jealous of his sister deep down because it's basically he's jealous of his sister, but deep down he admires her, and it's like the sister, like Ren and Lewis are complete opposites, where Ren is the overachiever who makes mom and dad proud, where Lewis is again the kid who he can't quite rise to the same level. He's struggling in places. He's kind of making these kind of class clown in response to that a lot of the time, and kind of taking pot shots at his sister because again he wants to measure up, buddy. Yeah.
Yes.
No.
What is it, Tiki?
Go ahead.
Well, anyway,
Sorry.
Boy's making like pot shots and everything, and then at his sister. But again, it's like because he can't quite measure up. It's like it's kind of a slack.
Go ahead.
The slacker approach to life.
Yes, that's Lewis in a nutshell. The lovable slacker. Whereas Ren's the lovable type A person. And I was thinking about it on this rewatch, like since they have that older brother Donnie, I'm like, she doesn't act like a middle child though. She acts like the oldest. And I think that's why I forget that they have an older brother.
Yeah. It's the Chad. Well, no, Darden's not another Chad. Sorry, no, it's the Chuck effect. It's the Happy Days Chuck effect. Like Donnie's there, but at the same time, he's kind of not there sometimes.
Right. Yeah.
No, and again, it's literally the Francis effect from Malcolm in the Middle, where it's like, the Malcolm in the Middle refers to like specifically Malcolm, Reese, and Dewey, and Francis is just not in that equation when it comes to the
like in military school.
What is it like? Doesn't Francis have like a wife and doesn't get a kid in the series or something? Doesn't he like kind of
something like? I know he definitely has a wife. I don't know about the status of the kid.
Right. Again, bear in mind. Every time I tuned in, like most of the time, I was like, "Oh my god, I'm watching this for Cranston." And then someone had, I'm like, "Oh man."
But Ren actually, fun fact, I auditioned for this like Lifetime movie that I think is coming out pretty soon, and I didn't get it, obviously. But I found out that Christy Carlson Romano is playing like not the part I auditioned for, but is playing because I auditioned for like high schooler, but she's like in it. I don't know.
Oh my goodness!
But like, man, had I booked it, I would have been working with Ren. That would have been like the whole of my life.
Oh my goodness, it would have been awesome.
I know. It was called like Dream Killer, or maybe she was in like it's like a whole series. Like there's like Dream Killer and like Marriage Killer and Boyfriend Killer.
Yeah, anyway, almost like a Hallmark series, like Darrow and Darrow or something. Yeah,
she's definitely one of the something killers. And I auditioned for Dream Killer, and I'm pretty sure she's in that one too. And that was like the final twist of the knife after I didn't book it, was finding out that she was in it. I was like, the same call sheet as Christy Carlson Romano.
Yeah. Oh my goodness! But speaking of which, so let's get to so talking about Ren here. I mean, Christy Carlson Romano, she's I can't get enough.
I mean, she's absolutely on fire with this. She goes through so many layers of her performance, from being just kind of like the the over-the-top teenage girl depressed about a boy breaking up with her, all the way up to straight up like the most primal Lord of the Flies-esque psychological breakdown of a character that we get in this scenario.
I love that it's been like a long time coming. Like the character flaw of Ren, and I can say it in a good way. Like the kind of the thing with Ren is that, again, she's such kind of an uptight overachiever that, again, like when something isn't going her way or when she has like an imperfection, it will kind of be her undoing. Where, again, Lewis lives to create those imperfections or highlight those imperfections, so they were like put on this earth almost designed to annoy each other and be at war with each other. These two opposing forces, just driving each other nuts or motivating the other one to do their actions. It's
But deep down, they loved each other.
yes, they do. Yes, they do. And of course, we do get a little bit of Ren's love life. I can't remember how often they do that in the series. I'm sure she would probably be like,
I remember she was dating some other guy who was like cute, and then he kisses some other girl.
oh,
Scandal.
And like Lewis like gets it on tape. And they were actually on like they were doing something. And he had it on tape and he was gonna like show the whole school because it was like ultimate humiliation or whatever. But he ended up like growing a conscience and was like, I can't show that to everyone. But then he, just shows it to her and was like, you need to see this. And then Ren breaks up with the boyfriend. And I remember like watching that with my friend because like it was really sad, especially in middle school. Like, but like looking back, I haven't rewatched it recently, but I do remember watching it like again when I was older, and I just remember being like, man, that was just Ren was fine, but the guy that whoever was playing the guy, I was like, man, he's just not a good actor. There was like no emotion in his eyes.
Wait a minute, they blew their budget on the principal cast, Katie. Those are all the good actors. No one else is just kind of a crapshoot.
I'm like, this is why they wrote him out. The kid can't act. Oh, that's so mean. He's probably better than I was at that age. But anyways, I feel like I always have to have a caveat whenever I say something bad about someone. Anyways.
Yeah. I love that, like we kind of see that Ren, the kind of guys that Ren's into. Like we have, like she's into like the guild at the beginning. Gil, she's kind of into the dumb pretty boys who can't appreciate. I love her goals. Like she's not expecting like the world of this guy. She just wants to spend the summer with the kid.
True. She always falls for like the dumb jocks when she's like supposed to be this smart, like motivated girl. Oh my god, I never thought about that.
Yeah, and I like that. I love that I love she's not like having these big asks of the guy. She's not trying to transform. Bear in mind, I don't know if this happened at many points in the series, and I've been saying at least bear in mind with the refresher course you have with the movie here is that she just wants to spend the summer with the kid, and the kid like I want to keep my options open because I don't have to go somewhere to be like the lifeguard or whatever he's going to be teaching. He's going to be teaching the kids some summer camp or something.
Yeah.
And the fact, again, he wants to keep his options open in case other women, in case he wants to get in a relationship with somebody else, which is just so insensitive. Like, are you deaf, man? Like, I don't know. It's all like, how dare you? Anyway. Point being, but I love how she kind of gets sucked into, again, as smart as Ren is, and you kind of see the breakdown character is over time, like the island setting is messing with her on a few levels, ultimately with kind of with driving her insane with like things getting progressively worse. But what gets her to that point in the middle, she kind of falls for like kind of the romance of the island with the soap opera. Like basically, she gets kind of sucked into a soap opera in real life, as someone would be watching it, basically viewing all
showmance.
Yeah, she gets sucked into the showmance, as it were.
Yes, showmance. Yeah,
that was her one downfall.
That was her one, and then Donnie was the dumb older brother that you kind of forgot about.
Speaking of Donnie boy,
the one memory I have of Donnie was he must have been like, guys, I need some kind of like, I need an episode because this is the only episode I remember him where he's trying to like he's trying to like impress these college scouts or something.
Makes sense.
And yeah, and then they're gonna come to the house or whatever. And Lewis fucks something up and he like breaks his arm or something. Something happens. Wow. And he's like, crap, I can't, like he gets injured. And he's like, crap, I can't see like the scouts looking like this or whatever. And so Lewis has this idea where they're just gonna like have like Donnie's head and he's gonna be like floating out the window like on Twitty's body. Like, do you guys remember this? Am I
I
alone?
vaguely remember this. I remember he had like some sort of scheme cooked up where basically had this, like Donnie's out of commission, he has to make it look like Donnie's still in commission.
Yeah, so like they put on Tawny like, his football jersey and over his head, obviously. So it looks like
Yeah, I remember this. Yeah, yeah. So it's specifically Tawny,
and
right?
then fuck, Lewis goes to like put his arm around Donnie and he's like, hey man, and he accidentally like pulls the whole body over. But his head stays still. And he's like, oh whoops. And they're like, that's weird. And then Tawny's like, or Twitty's like, oh, we done? And he like starts getting up and walking around. And Lewis is like, sit down, Donnie's body. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I just like went off on my own little tangent there, but God, that was so funny. Oh, but that's the one episode I remember like Donnie actually like being in. Do you guys have any memories of Donnie in the show?
That's the weird thing. I mean, Donnie. The weird thing. I know Donnie was there. I do remember a few things with Donnie, but I barely. But that time, I'm just. I kind of. I don't know why. All the Donnie stuff just blend together. I can't pinpoint that.
Yeah, I'm kind of drawing a blank.
I mean, that's the thing. A lot of my Even Stevens go-to memories, because this was the last thing that came out. All my instant go-tos for Even Stevens are the movie, even though, of course, they have like a whole series of things to pick from. Because I remember a few things like, Lewis going for the big dive and everything, and like all that sort of stuff. He's trying to, because I love in that episode, he's trying to make his father proud, but of course, he also wants to make the school proud. Of course, like class clown, make my father proud. It's a really good story.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's beyond that's the go-to. I remember some silly ones where it's like, he gets Key and Beans get caught like spying on Ren during the slumber party, like stuff like that. I don't know. It's like, it's like a.
Wait, Johnny or no?
No, like I'm sorry. Did I say Don? I meant Lewis and Beans. That's what I meant.
No, okay, yeah, no, that's what you said, but I just got. It's like, wait.
The point being, Donnie, I'm a little scarce on my Donnie memories, because I do remember this, because basically this kind of summarized, I would assume, most of the points of Donnie here. Where Donnie, he's the eldest, who's really he's basically, Donnie is kind of his ascent, his going to college, and kind of move. Basically, we're losing a principal character of the show here, and that motivates the parents to kind of want the kids kind of spend the summer together and kind of quit the bickering a little bit and just kind of relish in the moment. So they're all going to be together before Ren's going to high school, before Donnie's going off to college. Yeah. And that's the thing. So basically, this kind of motivates the trip being taken and everything. And Donnie's like, oh yeah, we can run on the beach and everything. That'll be great, all tropical and such. You get it's got all. There's an obscure Bates Motel reference I can make right now, but I'm not going to, because that's going to be counterproductive. I'm going to focus on Donnie.
There's an even more obscure Katie reference I could make, but I'm not going to.
I know there is, but we're not going to make that reference. The point being, so the point being, he. I love that we gave Donnie. I love that he's frustrated by, again, we give him the Truman Show treatment here, where again Donnie is kind of the crazy man in the family, because he saw basically he's the one who warned him, like, guys, something's not right here. Something's because
he saw the guy that he went to
Patrick Green, I think his name was.
Yeah.
I saw Patrick Green.
Something that I remembered before I rewatched it. I'm like, he runs into someone from his high school. I remember, and then sure enough, he did.
I like that Donnie isn't entirely just the musclehead. I like that he's the musclehead who could have saved the family all this struggle, but it's just that again, he's the musclehead who kind of thinks who could be more if people would give him time of day and not just write him off as the cliche. And I think that was that always stuck with me from the movie. And that's kind of what my go-to memory of Donnie is, like, oh my God, Donnie bumps into him. He's kind of a very zen guy, that Donnie. So he wants to run around. That's all he really wants to do in life. I don't know.
He's a man of simple tastes.
Yeah, he was just kind of like the dumb jock.
Yeah, but again, like maybe not entirely, but yeah, that's he's one note, but he's one note that longs to be maybe a smidge more if we give him a little consideration. I don't know.
Yeah. And then you have the parents. I love at the end when they were like being interviewed and they were like, Steve, out of work lawyer.
Oh god, those little credits. Well, not the credits. Little descriptors that pop up. Those are hilarious.
Yeah. And
Is
Eileen,
he
I
an out of work lawyer like canon with the show? Is that a running gag?
I'm pretty sure, yes. Well, I mean the fact that he was a lawyer. I remember he's in a suit and he has colleagues. And I don't know if I doubt he's been out of work for the entire season. I'm sure it probably in like the.
yeah, I don't think it was like till the 3rd season.
At the very, I know he was at home a lot. Now I don't know if that was because he was out of work or it was just like he was just at home doing stuff. Because I mean he would wear suits a lot, so that implies that he had somewhere to go. I mean, right?
Yeah. So I don't think it was near the end.
Yeah.
I don't think it was until near the end.
Yeah.
And then Eileen, yeah, she won like senator. So I think it was around that time that he lost his job, and that's when she was like, "I'll be a senator." I don't know. I could be making that up.
Now, Eileen was a senator, and she tried to get into the House of Representatives. Tried to get essentially get the ultimate promotion. Try to get kind of I assume like maybe move to Washington or something. I don't know. The point is, she was going to go to the she wanted to kind of become a more official senator in the House of Representatives, perhaps. But
wow, Disney getting political.
and she lost the election. I'm sure that was kind of the theme of the story. Like, oh man, she tried her best, but you know what? She's still happy. She's still senator. She's still family. Invest in the family. Always good in the House of Eileen. So
yeah, Twitty and Beans. I loved Twitty, and I think Beans was a very unnecessary addition to the cast.
Well, real quick, I just want to go back to Steve Eileen real quick, just better in the movie for a quick second here before we get into
yeah.
I love that Stevie has kind of fragile ego here. He's lost his job. He feels a little emasculated. And again, we have to justify why
Stevie is kind of like the first person to kind of go all tribal on them. It's like, all right, we're gonna stay here, and then you guys are gonna go and do this thing.
Right.
Yeah. Because Ordinary is just kind of the frantic father, like, "Come on, kids, stop fighting!" But he's just going completely like, "Oh my God, we might not have enough food for the night." Like you stole free. And he's just I love how Eileen's just perfectly the level-headed one throughout the whole thing, and nothing shaking Eileen here. And of course, like Steve is kind of turning on Eileen. He's like, "What are you talking about?" This is
I know. I didn't like how like the show pitted the mom and dad against each other. Like that was a little dark.
That did feel a little off in the movie, in all honesty. But it was kind of funny though. Eileen just like, just calling him out, like, "What are you saying, man?"
Yeah, I know. But it was like, yeah, that was the one part where I was like, I feel like they would have figured it out sooner. You know what I mean? Like, if my parents have a fight, they don't just kind of like, "Come on, Katie, you're coming with dad, and my brother Jamie, you're going with mom, and we're not going to talk."
Right.
It's a matter of survival, Katie. Stop crying. Come with me.
Like, I feel like my parents, like, they would have like been like, "Okay, let's talk about what happened."
Yeah, honestly, after the second meeting with the natives where they're like, wanting to sacrifice you or whatever, however the chain of events goes down, it's like, yeah, that'd be the point where it's like, okay, like we're clearly not welcome on this island and something fishy is going on. Get me the hell off of it. I don't care how much I have to pay. Like this is messed up, man. There's some bad mojo going on here.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, there's some plot holes, but because it's Disney and cheesy, I totally overlook them. I'm like, whatevs.
Part of the course. So back to Twitty and Beans. So Beans, I absolutely agree with both of you, by the way. So here's the thing. So Beans
is like easily the character that drags this movie down for me.
Here's the trippy thing. I remember liking Beans a lot last time I saw the movie, a lot more years ago. And because again, I remember I liked for the most part. Yeah, I wasn't like a huge fan of Beans. Like when Beans showed up, like he's like, okay, he has a few laughs.
The one thing I like about Beans is that he has like this kind of like weird dynamic with Steve.
That's the thing. That's the secret to the kid. The kid on his own is just he's like it's like looking at an eye chart. Like what? The point being, the kid on his own is like it could be death, but the kid when paired with somebody, that's when the kid kind of comes alive and you get like kind of a dynamic going on, like like Ren taking pity on the kid, like she's kind of babysitting him and just kind of taking him, and she would do that in the series a couple times when Ren like the uptight one was paired with Beans, just this this complete like wackadoo character. Or when you have Beans paired with Steve, like it's the most kind of straightforward, like and just getting life advice from Beans, like give her time, Steve, give her time. It's like what is going on? Why is he making sense?
Right.
Yeah. I don't
Yeah,
know.
here on the rewatch, Beans was really off. Yeah, I agree with you.
I just like never I didn't understand like why he was on the TV show. Like I just like why? Like I remember they brought him in like the second season maybe. I don't know. But like he wasn't on it from the beginning and I just thought he was so annoying and like not like a cute kid, like just a weird kid. I don't know.
Yeah,
I did not get the why they wrote him into the show. Did not get it. I was like, whose kid is this?
the main thing I remember from Beans, and I still remember from Beans, is the love of bacon. That's about it. You know, it's just.
I didn't remember that until I rewatched it, and then I was like, oh yeah.
That's his main character trait. Beyond after the bacon gag, you're pretty much just stuck with him. Like, oh god, now we're stuck with the kid. Darn it, we're stuck with the smelly weird kid. Why are we stuck with the smelly weird kid?
Honestly, the best part of him being on the show was Lewis's reaction to him, like beans.
Yeah.
But yeah, wasn't a fan. But I always loved Twitty.
Good old Twitty. Again, Twitty kind of screws him over a little bit here, but I do like the guilt, and like Twitty's trying to amend his mistake here. The idea now could be.
He has like the redemption arc in this movie.
Absolutely. Here. Yes, he has a very proactive journey to undo his unintentional blunder. Because I read it as an unintentional blunder. I read it as because we saw at the beginning of the movie, Miles, we had that interesting, okay, something big's happening here. We have Tim Meadows looking at a computer screen. It's kind of like, oh, it's an edgy 2003 movie. Where we have Tim Meadows going through like all the families on the computer and just kind of ruling that, ends up on the Stevens family. So I presume he found them that way. And of course, just, of course, basically they targeted the Stevens family because she's a senator. That's why they targeted the family. Mm-hmm. It would look really funny making fun of someone with kind of such a high position. And their family and vice versa. And I believe Twitty is basically the one who gave him all the fodder, basically probably interviewing the family members and everything, trying to get learn some stuff about the family in the process. And Twitty unwittingly gave him everything he knew. So I believe that's how it went down. I could be wrong, but that's at least how I read it.
Yeah, no, that's
sounds like a realistic scenario. I can buy it.
Yeah. Yes.
All right, so let's talk about, speaking of Tim Meadows, let's talk about Miles McDermott.
Yay, the villain. But the lovable villain.
I gotta tell you, it's so rare, and the thing Tim Meadows is probably the thing I remember most from this movie, if I'm being honest, because it's such a rare glimpse at evil Tim Meadows. I so rarely, again, bear in mind, it's more not evil like muahaha evil, but evil in terms of like this guy's cooking something up. This guy's a.
Well, what I like about this guy is that he is kind of like. He's a more complex villain than we usually see with these DCOMs because, at the end of the day, he's just kind of a businessman. To me, he kind of reminds me of like a more evil version of John Hammond.
Honestly, he's like a very toned down version of what like producers who want the ratings are actually like, to be honest.
Yeah, he's kind of like a Hollywood producer meets Joe Rogan without a soul. It's kind of
he's like oh my god, what's that guy that hosts The Bachelor?
I got nothing.
I'm a bad girl. Like every girl knows this. You know what I mean, though. Like I'm a
bad Katie. Bad Katie for not knowing The Bachelor.
God, Bachelor host, and it's like such an obvious. Chris Harrison. He's like the Chris Harrison mixed with like the actual producer of The Bachelor.
I think of a different reality show, Chris. You're thinking of from Total Drama Island. Tiki. It's Chris.
Chris. Yeah, I know you're Chris McLean. I think
Chris McLean.
Yeah.
Right. Sorry, just obscure Total Drama, but that's the only reality show I could actually invest myself in terms of a Survivor type thing, where it's like it's Total Drama. It's a Canadian animated show. It's anyway. For my ridiculousness aside, but yes, I'm sorry, Katie. So beyond he's kind of a Chris Harrison type.
Yes, mixed with like the evil. I don't want to say evil.
And a soulless Hollywood system.
Yes, the soulless, money-hungry Bachelor producers that are just trying to get ratings.
I love he's just kind of like this big vindictive kind of prima donna producer too. It's just like because the idea is like he was on Gotcha, he found the host of Gotcha, and he's really because he found the talent for his own prank show, and he got kicked off and fired off of his own prank show. So again, that's why he's kind of trying to kind of launch another one. So again, it's kind of like the motivation there why he's so obsessed with I gotta beat Gotcha, Coulier's on Gotcha, I gotta beat him.
Yes. Yeah,
he's a good showman, though. I gotta give him that, though. Yeah, it's
yeah. I will say, like, you kind of like, I don't want to say you feel for him. I don't know. You know what I mean?
He's got a little bit of a...
why he did it because he has a chip on his shoulder, and they're trying to make him so evil. Like, you're fired, you're rehired. And I'm like, oh, not like it's way worse than that on a real set.
I gotta tell you, after watching basically a while back, I fully got caught up on the Goldbergs and Scold is finally because Tiki and I we kept talking about the holiday specials. Like, you know what, one of these I'm gonna watch Goldbergs from the beginning, and I finally did lately. So I've got a whole dose of Tim Meadows in both series. And I gotta tell you, after seeing Tim Meadows is such a pleasant character in those shows. It's like, oh my god, seeing Tim as as the soulless, like firing people just so cruelly and stuff. It's like, oh man, Tim Meadows. I think the most sadistic bit with, I think to me, if I had to summarize Miles McDermott with one scene easily, it's the scene where Ren was on the TV next to him saying, "I want to go home," and he's just saying, "I bet you do." It's like so sadistic.
Right.
Just with Tim Meadows, that's jolly smile on his face he always has. Said, "I bet you do." It's like, oh god.
I mean, honestly, this is a character where it's like I feel like as the movie goes on, again, I hate to bring up like just plot holes here, but you know, at the end of the day, it's like, okay, this guy is just kind of like it wouldn't be obvious that he's leading you on a wild goose chase, like I don't know, but that's I think that's kind of part of the fun of his character is that he is kind of like this weird, like enigmatic, almost Willy Wonka of the island, where it's like, all right, I'm just crazy and guiding you through this experience, and I'm trying to be helpful. But at the end of the day, you can kind of see these weird, enigmatic cracks starting to form in my personality.
Yeah.
So let's pro-con this thing. Let's talk about
the
pros, the highs, and the cons, the lows.
All right.
All right, so pro, I definitely think it's pretty high concept for its time with like the reality show gimmick, the twist within a twist. You know, I thought all that was pretty ambitious. Like as Katie said, I feel like if it would have just been them on a vacation, it probably would have been a little bit more forgettable. But having that big twist on it really made it worth it.
I agree. And watching it like now as like an adult, I really appreciated the like God, I don't know how to say this. Like all the camera angles, like the like when they were like, yeah, cinematography. When they were like with the evil squirrel, and like when they like saw the squirrel like eating their last peanut.
The POV in the fisheye lens,
yeah. Like I appreciated like a lot, and like when he found the peanut, and it's like him, and it's like.
I want the stubby little tail.
Yeah, I was like, oh, like Disney like gets a bad rap, but like they have some like good quality, you know, people behind the scenes too. Like it's like, wow, it's actually like just shot really well too.
With the reality show reveal, the thing that really impressed me on a rewatch is, I mean, of course, the reveal within itself is cool. But what I love about the reveal is that it lends a lot of credibility to kind of the been there, done that, like the vacation premise, of course. But what I love about it, I think what really helps it even more so is the timing of it. Because think about it. This happens, if you're watching this, and you're watching it assuming, oh, okay, Steven's family on a tropical island vacation, and things have gone south per Lewis is doing. And we reach a point, like literally, the point where we find out it's a reality show is okay. Things are it's night. The storm's brewing now. They're all huddled together under this leaf, and like me, the audience members, I'm going like, oh my god, this is less funny. This is more sad. What's going on here? We need like what am I watching? Where are they going to go from here? And the minute you think that, you reveal reality show, and it's like, oh, that explains it. Basically, we assure the audience, we give the audience a bit of security and say, okay. things are looking bad for them right now, but they're in no actual danger because it's a reality show. They're being made, basically, they're not an actual dire circumstance, so kind of you alleviate the tension. I thought that was such a clever story move.
I mean, I feel like the tension in this movie is honestly less to do with like the physical danger that they're in, and more like the fact that these people are clearly pushing the Stevens family beyond the threshold of like psychologically what they can take.
Well, sure, but I think that comes into play like a little after that. But yes, I mean, it's all you have like a physical danger that you're a little worried about, but then we have that, and of course, then we kind of blend the two by the third act a little bit. As I mentioned, I love the quality of like a show within a show. Like we've taken the Stevens family thing we've known them for like 3 seasons, and we kind of literally put them in a TV show. I just love the cleverness of that. We kind of captured the roots of the character in the back and forth. You know, again, like Ren and Lewis. It's like, you know, it's kind of like, oh, it's it's like Tom and Jerry practically for Dave and Stevens. Yeah.
Yeah.
Island location looks pretty nice. Good set and everything.
Yeah.
Okay, this is one of those things, Katie. Of course, I being a Tiki room buff and everything. Dragon knows this. If a movie is set on an island, I kind of automatically like give it some points.
Why?
I don't know. It's just for me. It's like there's something about like the tropical setting of like, you know, for a good example I can point to is you know, something like Forgetting Sarah Marshall. A good romantic comedy definitely has a great performance by Jason Segel. But and of course, Dragon, that movie also includes one of your favorites, Kristen Bell. But that movie set on an island, set on a Hawaiian resort, and I'm just like, it's like escapism, you know.
And another one with Kristen Bell, another island movie with Kristen Bell, A Couple's Retreat. That's a good one.
Which I haven't seen yet.
And it features Peter Serafinowicz.
It's just a weird, like I'm not saying that I love every movie set on an island, but I am saying that I will be more forgiving of a movie if it's like, it's got an island setting at least.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean,
Sorry, man, on an island
in Hawaii, and I love that movie.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's another pro. Yeah, the cons though.
Okay, real quick, one other pro one again before we dive right into the cons. Dave Coulier, of course, I like that we got him in there, kind of a symbol of.
Oh my God! Yes, he was great.
Yeah, symbol of nostalgia. Of course, we have walking Dave Coulier. Gotcha, and of course, he has a very Full Houseian catchphrase too, which is very appropriate.
Yeah, cut it out. That was Full House.
He was watching a Game of Thrones parody from Jimmy Kimmel. He basically did Full House with one of the Game of Thrones characters. Of course, Deegan and I completely lost in Game of Thrones to the point of like some guy who had like a metal hand on top of his stump or whatever. The point being, that guy, whoever that guy was, he played the uncle. It was like Uncle. I think his character was like Jamie. So like Uncle Jamie or something. And the idea is you had him and you have basically got Bob Saget and Dave Coulier wearing wigs and everything, basically acting like Full House. Just. Of course, with the screwed up life of Game of Thrones, where like there's incest and there's all sorts of weird stuff, and like Bob Saget's just trying to, as Danny Tanner's just trying to give this, like, they play the music and everything behind. Things are gonna be okay. Well, it's me and my sister. We're not. Things aren't going really good right now. Says, she's pregnant for the second time. That's just when he says okay, and exits the scene. He's like, how do you respond to that, especially if you're in Full House? Oh, it's anyway.
Yeah, they had a lot of and I will say the acting wasn't like too cheesy, you know what I mean? Other than like Donnie, poor guy Donnie, I hate throwing him under the bus, but like I mean, like all the sad parts were like really sad, and all the angry parts were really angry. I wasn't like watching it like only because I had to rewatch it, like I was enjoying it.
You got the best reality show comparison. Okay, Joe Schmo meets Survivor. That's kind of the satire we're doing.
I could see that. Yeah, because Joe Schmo is kind of like a weird like show within a show sort of premise where the players in it think they're competing in a reality show, but really it's
right.
Really it's more of like a psychological, like kind of like social experiment, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's well said.
I like the natural way how we include the side characters. Like they're all watching the show. That's how we kind of check in with all the various. At least they're featured in a little bit,
Yeah, I was thinking that too. That at least they're in it.
Like the principal. I mean, I love the principals. Like Ren was really she's kind of teacher's pet with the principals. Like I don't know, I always like the dynamic between Ren and the principal. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, and the coach, and then the guy that plays like Ren's nemesis is there. And when she has like that moment where they're almost kissed, I will say when they cut back to him being like, "Oh, please." I thought that was so funny.
All right. Okay. So at cons, let's. I have a huge con right to start. Unless you really want to start with the cons here, I got.
No, please.
Okay. Tawny. Okay. Nothing against Tawny
Oh
personally.
God. Oh no. Oh
Okay.
no.
Here's the thing. Nothing against Tawny personally, but one, she's underutilized. But here's the big problem. Okay, the underutilized. It's just something that you have to accept with the movie. Yeah, there's some unutilized characters because again, there's kind of the focus is wrong, but that's the minor thing. Here's the major problem with Tawny. Okay. That coconut thing is the dumbest thing in the movie. She gets popped on. She washes up on.
Oh, I
somehow.
totally agree.
I'm so angry at that coconut
any
thing.
plot line with amnesia, especially if it's like this short lived, it does bother me. It was pretty cheap.
Tiki, I've seen a lot of
Yeah.
amnesia plots. This might be the dumbest. I gotta be honest. This might be the dumbest and the most frivolous and the I don't know. It's just it's like literally she washes up. Somehow she gets separated for plot convenience. She walks up in the boop cartoony sound effect, and she loses her memory very so temporarily. It instantly comes back and just asks, "Hey guys, you watching that family that fighting family show?" Says, no, we don't. Well, everybody's
Well,
watching.
because they mentioned Miles, and she's like, "Oh, Miles, so and so." I will say the way it all comes back to her was very like so. Like it was like, oh yeah, Miles, whatever his name is. What's his fucking name? McDermott. And she's like, everyone knows him. He's like that new hot show. And then they're like, what show? Everyone's watching it. Oh, because you guys are on it. Like
it's the dumbest thing I've ever.
I will say, like it's Disney and it's dumb, but it could have been handled better than that. Like it was very like low energy. You know what I mean? Like Donnie just finds her and they're like, "What are you doing here?" She's like, "I don't know." It should be more like I don't know. You know, like I woke up and I'm trying to remember, and I'm tired, but I know I shouldn't go to sleep because I probably have a concussion.
Like there should be like some sort of urgency to it. It's like when they find her, it should be like, oh my God, like what are you doing here? I thought we were thousands of miles away. This crack stays wide open.
Yeah, I mean, even their reactions weren't the ones that bothered me. It was her just being so casual about it. I was like, no, you would be like, what the fuck is happening? You know? Yeah, I hear you. That, although that's not what I was gonna say was my number one con, but that's a close second. My number one would be that Tawny and fucking Lewis never get together.
Yeah, the seat next to Papa, which again she does. Remember, she takes the main seat for herself, and Lewis is in kind of the co-pilot seat. So that's the closest thing we get to any of that.
Yeah, but like the whole 3 seasons was like a will they, won't they? Like
they say it was an assume that they got together, but they never really did anything to celebrate it. So yeah.
I know, because don't they like? Isn't there an episode where they like go out on a date?
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the closest you ever got to that. So it's
But it like doesn't work out. What happens?
I remember they implied they were together by the end. I don't know if they mean this. I could have sworn it was like they got together at least by another episode.
Yeah, I think they did like kind of start. Yeah, but then they like never like even had them kiss. It was weird. It's weird.
I don't know why I can tell you, there's so many. I was trying to. No, it's not the Disney. I don't know. I was thinking of. Sorry, I'm botching my reference here. So forget I opened my mouth and said anything. Let's just move on. So there's some iffy CG in the movie as well. Like we have the waves, the house, the chair spinning, and the CG is a little iffy.
Oh yeah, the seat. Yeah, I mean, yeah, but I mean, also it was a while ago, right?
Yeah, this is like 2003. I'm just saying, like, we practically couldn't like destroy how have some breakaway things on there. Like have like a model or something. We couldn't just do that. We had the CG, like the thing coming apart. Really.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, even that didn't bother me though. I'm like, it's Disney Channel.
It's a minor quibble, sure.
Yeah.
As we already established, Beans is a character that doesn't really hold up all that well.
yeah, I mean, like I said, he wasn't great on the show, so he was even worse in the movie.
Yep. Let's see.
I honestly, the more I look at this poster and him just like doing the stupid hula dance in the middle of this poster, the more it honestly kind of annoys me.
Yeah, this would be a much better poster if it was like Psych or something, because they're all wearing these pineapple hats and everything. Probably like Lassie doing the hula dance in the background.
Yeah, like, why is he on the poster? Like, why? Like, why? Like, I just don't get it.
Well, I'm gonna wager a guess.
Because it's like the way he's positioned on that poster, it literally makes it look like, oh, he's like the quirky breakout comedy star of the movie.
I was gonna say, do you think they were trying to like set him up to have a spinoff? That's the only.
He's a quirky Spencer Breslin. I'll say that much. You know,
That's the only thing I can think of. They must have been like, okay, we only have like 3 seasons of this show. We'll write this kid in, and then he's young enough to where we can like have a show that goes like 5 or 6 seasons. I mean, had to have been something because it was just so random. Like he's a few years younger than Lewis and Twitty. Like it's weird that they're hanging out with it. Like that's something. There's something. He wasn't likable, and he's on the poster. They were trying to like set up a spinoff. That's the idea.
I have a mean comparison I can make to the kid, but that'd be too mean. I can't do it here. It's just it wouldn't be.
Okay.
I'll tell you about it off air.
Let's not be too mean.
That's the thing. I'll tell you about it off air, but again, I don't want to. So, yeah, it's not right. So. Okay, let's see. So I gotta say this squirrel really.
Oh, we'll get into that. I can defend that.
All right, that's fine. I'm just gonna flirt the idea here.
All right.
Get into it.
Well, do we want to transition here?
Oh, well, isn't that a con?
Okay, I think I got one more comment.
Well, it's literally one of my favorite scenes, so I'm saying like, oh, you want to challenge that? All right, I'll challenge that.
Okay, I do have one major con I got to go through before we go do that. That was important though.
Okay.
The biggest, the speak to Katie's point earlier, I believe, as to like when the parents could have like really sniffed out something was fishy here. There was one big moment in the story where like, yeah, they really should have known at this point. It's really glazing. Like, there's a huge gaping plot hole in the movie where they, Miles is pitting the family against each other, basically, with the food drop. Remember the fake food drop where they're basically dropping a box full of empty wrappers and everything, and they all, like kind of planting Lewis's shirt and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So when that happens, when basically our second party, when Steve, when Steve, Ren, and Beans are going up the mountain, he tells them like, no, you have to. The food drop, it landed in the wrong place. You're going to have to go up there yourself, and basically saying, follow these trail markers, though. He said, wait, no, that plane's not supposed to. Of course, they're asking very logical questions like, you said there would be no planes until like a week or so later. He says, well, it's just a food drop. But the more glaring thing is that, wait a minute. So this just randomly happens. The food drop, by accident, the food drop is like way off course. And yet there are trail markers at the ready that lead specifically where that crate dropped. And that doesn't raise any literal red flags. These red and blue flags are all over the place. You mean to tell me this doesn't raise a flag? That seems pretty prepared right now. I think there's something fishy going on here. As one could say, a reality show-esque move. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I just think in general, them ignoring the fact that it's a reality show and kind of just being dumb to it is just kind of like a dumb plot device that this movie unfortunately just gets saddled with.
Yeah, it's just par for the course,
Exactly.
You just have to be like, oh, yeah, well, it's Disney Channel.
Right.
Well, or even like not even just Disney Channel. Well, it's a movie,
Okay, let's squirrel it up here, man. Let's talk about some favorite moments. Tiki, squirrel defense, go.
Okay, I like the squirrel because it's so out of left field and it's Python-esque in its execution. And I just love the editing on it. And it's just kind of like a big what the fuck moment. And I just straight up think it's funny. Like I said, I like the editing. I like how it's like almost a quick cutaway. And I love the effect on it because the effect is very Monty Python-esque with the cheapness of it mixed with how they legitimately make it look dangerous. So yeah, what can I say? I like the squirrel.
All right, fair enough.
Okay. And then let's see. I guess my other favorite moment is going to be I already forgot it. Dragon, help me out here. I'm sorry.
All right. Give me a minute here. I was trying to look at the other moment for you was.
I'm embarrassed. I should have remembered it.
I think I'm trying to think if it was. It was. Oh right, I know what it is. Okay, I got it. It was the Miles' sudden appearance. Remember, like the nose.
Oh, I got it. Yeah. I got it. Okay. All right. So my second favorite moment, this kind of ties into like the quirky, like weird, sort of like off-putting nature that Miles has as a villain. As the family is kind of like hiking along the beach, like sort of trying to get the camp in order. Lewis is like, hey, hey, Donnie, scratch my nose. I got an itch on my nose, Donnie. And then along comes not Donnie, but instead Miles McDermott to scratch poor Shia's nose. And it's such an off-putting, like, what the hell are you doing, dude? Like, it's only like a moment, you know what I mean? It's literally a moment. It very much comes and goes.
It's menacing yet helpful.
But it's just like it's one of those things where it really makes you take pause. You're just like, oh yeah, this guy's got some screws loose, man. I don't know about this dude. And then I want to throw one more into the ring involving Christy Carlson Romano.
Yes, okay.
Right at the very beginning, I love the whole bit, right after she gets broken up with by Gil. The whole bit where her dad's like, oh, you'll forget about what's his name in no time.
Hope that kid mutates at Camp Wannaweep.
Yeah, she just gets super offended and she's just like, his name was Gil.
Yeah, that was some bad acting.
Well, it's over the top bad Disney Channel acting for sure, but I just think it's a funny moment of like just kind of like, just being so dramatic and in the moment. I don't know. I appreciated it.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways, who wants to go next with their favorite moments?
Katie, you want to go or should I?
I'll go. Okay, so I guess I'll go in movie order because there's 3. So the first one's in the beginning, and this is just like it's got to be Shia. Like I doubt this was written in, but maybe the writers were that good. But it was so subtle, and it's like it's in the beginning, and it's like Ren sat in Lewis's chair, and she gets covered with like chocolate sauce, and then it goes crazy, and she's like covered in like all this ice cream, and then they're fighting, and the parents are like, "Stop fighting, you two!" And they're like, "No, never!" And they're like, "Listen, now stop that!" And they like quiet them down. Or actually, I think it's just the dad yelling at them. And then like Lewis, he like scratches the inside of his nose, like kind of like picking at a little booger. And then he just like very subtly just kind of like flicks it on Ren. So
and she gives him like a wet willy or something, like she does like the weird thing.
After that. But like it was so funny the way he did it, like because it was so subtle. Yeah, and then at the end, yeah, she like gives him a wet willy, but I don't even think she like clocks that he like flipped a burger on her. Like it's very like because he does it so on the sly. Oh, so funny. I think that's honestly my favorite because it was just so it was so unexpected. You know what I mean?
Okay, I got a random left field question for you, real quick.
Yeah.
You ever watch Alf?
No.
Okay, well, never mind. Doesn't matter. I'm sorry I distracted you. Keep going.
No, that's okay. I know the show. It's like the one with the puppet, right?
Yeah. I bring it up because actually that's what got Alf the job because he did that move. And Paul Fusco, who did the show, he brought the Alf puppet into a meeting at NBC, and basically Alf he wiped a boogie on the head of the network, and that's what got him the job.
Oh my god, that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't like a big one. It was just like a little tiny flick of a little bit that was like inside. You know what I mean? I don't know. You guys, if you don't know what I'm talking about, just rewatch the first like 10 minutes. It's in there. So okay, then the next is they're fighting on the beach. The dad, they split off into two teams. I have three more. The next part is when they go to the feast, and Miles whatever is like, no, there can only be three of you. You can only like accept the apology in groups of three. And they give them this like big feast. And the mom's like, I don't know, it feels wrong to eat without the others. And Donnie's like, we're eating for forgiveness. Like, yeah, it's the right thing to do. The way he said, like, it's the right thing to do. Oh my god. Dying. Yeah, okay. Then the part when they are yelling at each other and Ren's like, well, you can sleep out in the rain tonight. And he's like, we can and we will. I'm not even gonna like try to reenact it because I can't.
We can and we will.
It was.
That delivery kind of reminds me of.
Yeah, he takes the right amount of.
Sorry.
It reminds you of what?
It reminds me of an Endgame when the moment where Tony Stark pulls up when they're doing the time travel experiments on Ant-Man and Cap's all frustrated and Tony Stark's like, let me guess, kid turned into a baby. And then Cap is like, among other things, yes.
Yeah, it was like, he was so mad and he took the right amount of a beat between we can and we will. It was just genius. And then the very end when like Ren's like, I'm gonna hurt you, Lewis, and she like goes to push him off the cliff, and then you see him like falling, and then he like comes back up in the helicopter. Gotcha. I mean, that's got to be the best part. Because it's like, oh shit, did she just?
Oh god, she killed him.
Yeah. Like, there, I was like, oh, man. I know they're not going to kill off Shia LaBeouf, but are they just going to have him like hanging off the side of the cliff? Like, oh, thank God he survived. Now
I know it's not the first time in Disney we've had sibling killing sibling with a great fall. I mean, we saw that in The Lion King, but this is, still this is live action. This is like the original movie territory. We can't do that here.
P.S. Like that's like I don't want to go see the live action because like that is going to be too hard to watch. Honestly.
I think the whole thing's gonna be a little hard to watch, but
yeah, Dragon's got a big bias against that movie.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to open up a can of worms.
No, it's no can of worms.
Dragon is very anti The Lion King. I'm a little bit more open to it. The Lion King is the first movie that I ever saw in theaters. And so I do
have on the remake. It's the remaking of The Lion King, all right? That's what I'm thinking.
I hear you. It's weird because it was like, well, it's not going to be real animals. I hear you. Yeah. Yes. What was I saying? Oh yeah, my favorite. That's it. Those are my favorite parts.
Okay.
I think I got a little bit of overlap, but I'll try to stick it here. I got so I love the lazy chair at the beginning, mainly because I'm a gadget. I love the inventions, I love the gadgets.
You know what I like about this chair is the fact that it's like, I feel like it's a little dated and it wouldn't really be like all that useful now, but it's still really charming and inventive.
I love how just self-made it is. I love how they have like the keyboard, you have like the game joystick, you have like all the various kind of model hands that like they're massaging and they hold like the hot dog and everything. It's like, oh yeah, that's and of course like the netting issue, like it's mosquito season. He puts up this all the panty.
That's one of my favorite Shia LaBeouf deliveries is when Ren like rips open the mosquito net and he's like, oh come on Ren, we've got mosquitoes. I don't know if it's like the water or what.
Yes, Ren would not have that many pantyhose. Like what 13-year-old
right.
girl?
Well, that's the thing. So you have there are only two sources of pantyhose in the house. It's Ren, it's the mother. I mean how much
oh god.
Where's he getting all this pantyhose from?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so
But even just like when she finds beans in her room, like looking for more pantyhose, I'm like, that's a lot of pantyhose. She would not have that many pantyhose. Like,
what is
and then
Ren?
outside there's even more. I'm just like, no.
What is Ren doing at night, man? What is she doing? Anyway. Okay, but yeah, so with the lazy chair too, again, like I just echo a little bit of Katie's stuff too, because I love, of course, like he has like the spare seat, like I'm sitting next to Pop, all that stuff, but more so I love it when of all the Ren and Lewis just kind of at each other's throats. Just love the fact that they're kind of working together for a moment, because after she gets like kind of sundaed, like all the chocolate sauce and the little cherry and everything, which in itself is pretty funny, I gotta be honest. Although they're being chased by this chair, it's just a fun practical bit of ridiculous. They're being chased by a chair.
I know. So then they act like it's like, yeah. They act like it's like such a life or death situation.
And of course, speaking of life or death situations, I love, of course, Chris Carlos Romano. Usually, again, she's so well known for being like the put together character with Kim Possible, and of course, in the even Stevens traditionally, again, the high strung but you kind of put together, kind of straight man of the series. I love this movie takes her to such a crazy place. Like, and after Mutai, poor Mutai, we hardly knew you. Mutai, he's absconded with, and Lewis gets the blame. Ren's had it. Ren's she's boarding first class to Cuckoo Town, and she's arrived early. So Ren, she's going crazy, and just Chris Casamano, like the tribal markings on her face and everything, making her like a makeshift spear. It's just sharp enough, it's not really sharp, but it's just sharp enough to do some damage. she's chasing Lewis with the spear. Of course, I love how this sequence is directed by the way. It's like like boom, right to the ground, and Lewis is like turning around there, and of course, like just scurrying for his life. It's really well framed and really well shot. But of course, when the reality she's kind of losing it, saying, "Wait a minute, like, saying to Miles, like, no, she's not going to hurt him. Miles, you got to do something. She's going to hurt him. Like, oh, come on, she's not going to hurt him." And of course, this beautiful moment. We had to economize just how great she is when she's going completely unchained here. It's just like Lewis is running past frame and like running to the left or something. And she just runs up to the cameras, takes a beat, and says, like, the camera's like just pushed in on her face, saying, "I'm gonna hurt you, Lois." And she's doing like the I can't do it to save my life. She's doing like the Ariba, like doing the battle cry. Just I don't know what Christy Carlos Romano did to song. I mean, I know she's a trained. Well, I don't know how trained. The point she can sing. The point is Christy Carlos Romano, she can sing. I guess that's how she can do it. I don't know. The point is just like just the way she's just unleashed you, like she's turning like full Amazoness or something. You're just like, I'm gonna chase him. I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna spear him. If not, I'm gonna spear him off the cliff, man. Of course, obviously she's loyal at that point, but still, point stands. She did lose it before she was looped in at that point. Let's see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right.
All right. So, final thoughts. I guess I can go first. Yeah, I definitely feel like this movie is a worthy endeavor. Gotta say, there's definitely wonky parts of it. You kind of have to take the good with the cheesy, and it all kind of just blends together and kind of creates this nostalgia stew that is the Disney Channel original movie feel. And I feel like this movie definitely represents that very well. As I keep saying, I like the fact that this movie went a little bit more ambitious with it than it maybe could have. The fact that it's not just a vacation movie, but it's a vacation movie mixed in with like this weird sort of like Truman Show setup, mixed in with a weird twist within a twist in the third act. It's definitely got some ambitious things going for it. And while it's not the most nostalgic DCOM for me, it's definitely up there with some of the better like adaptations of TV shows in terms of like TV movies. And yeah, I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Yeah, I agree. I enjoyed it a lot. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to. Because I think also like when this was on, I think it probably aired in the summer when I was, their age in middle school, maybe high school. And so I don't think I ever like sat down. Honestly, I don't know if I'd ever like sat down and like watched it from beginning to end, like all in one sitting, because you kind of had to like catch it when it was on. It was before.
I know I never sat down and watched it before, except for this.
Yeah, like
like you, I'm sure I've seen clips here and there, but yeah, from
right,
the
like, I'm sure I, like, saw it all,
yeah,
but, like, I
yeah,
think I caught it, like, halfway in, and then, like, "Oh, this is the beginning." Like, I don't know if I'd ever seen the very, very beginning, you know? Like, I think I always caught it, like, a little bit in, yeah, because I do remember seeing it the first time, and he's like, "Come sit next to Big Papa." I didn't get that that was a reference to the beginning, because the first time I saw it, I missed the beginning, but then, like, but then, like, a few days later when it was airing again, I, like, saw the beginning when he, like, had the chair and he, like, was like, "Here, sit next to me." I'm like, "Oh!" So it's like, it was back in those days when you had to catch it, like, when it was on.
yeah.
It was before you like, DVR even, before YouTube, right? Or maybe
Oh yeah,
YouTube was
oh yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
um, way before Netflix,
Mhm.
and way
Well, basically,
having
back if Netflix is around, that was during like the mailing days of Netflix, where it was
yeah,
only you only had the yeah.
exactly. So I think that's the first time like, sat down and watched it, no commercials from beginning to end, and it was lovely. And it makes and also, I think when the movie came out, I don't think I realized again, because I was a kid, I don't think I realized, like, that it was even Stevens, like, that's how they were ending the series. Otherwise, I think I would have made more of a point to be like, "Oh, let me record this the way I did the
Yeah,
musical
yeah.
episode I'm obsessed with," you know? I just thought, like, "Oh, they're just gonna do this or whatever." Um, yeah, so it was and yeah, going back and watching it just, like, took me back to, like, it honestly so I moved when I was, 15, from Colorado to Florida, and it made me miss my really good friend that I haven't talked to in years in Colorado. This girl, Marnie Gag. We would watch Even Stevens together all the time. I think she even named her dog Twitty.
Nice.
And it reminded me of her, and I'm like, "I need to hit her up." But yeah, um, yeah, it took me back to the days where I could just sit down and watch a Disney movie and not critique the acting, not be like, "How did they get this and not me?" It just took me back to, like, a simpler time. And yeah, overall
Right.
good. I kinda wanna, like, make some of my friends now, like, watch it again with me.
All right. Well, for me, this I get a lot of love for the movie. Again, like this is something during the
All right,
summer when it would
Dragon.
air. Yeah.
Is
So
there, like,
for me,
a delay?
so for me, I would see this movie a lot in the summer. Basically, rerun in the summer. So again, it's probably like the most in regards to reruns and stuff. It's probably the thing I've kind of watched most as it happens, and it's kind of something that occurred to me when I'm rewatching it yet again. It's like, oh man, yeah, I've kind of seen this more than I've seen. I've seen the series when it aired, and I hadn't really kind of gotten the same episode multiple times. Like this is kind of like the episode I've gotten the most multiple times in a way. So I kind of know this one really well. It's but at the end of the day, I got a lot of love for this movie. It's not really deep. There's not a lot to it, but it's taking these characters that and putting them in a very DCOM-y situation with an interesting twist. And years later, I appreciate kind of the circular kind of connect to the series, where again, like we're kind of taking the premise of the series and we're kind of like putting into play in the very last kind of go with these characters. And again, you kind of being the premise actualized in a DCOM, which is quite clever. Does it hit does it hit certain fitting final notes that measures up to the does it hit all the final notes that like a final endeavor would hit? Maybe not, but it measures up to the fun the show had with the good players that it had in it. It's not really an Even Stevens movie, but a movie featuring the Even Stevens gang. It's which is not a deal breaker at all. It coasts on nostalgic fumes, but you know what? That's not a bad thing. It's not.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. All right. So thank you so much, Katie, for coming on once again. We really appreciate having you on for these things.
Yeah.
And
Thanks for having me.
yeah, no problem. No
You are
problem.
always welcome, Katie. You're always
Well,
welcome to come on.
Woohoo! Yay.
so Dragon, do you want to give a sneak preview of our fourth and final DCOM?
You know, many a time people say you can't go home again. We're going to prove them wrong with that, you know, because we're going to not just any home. We're going to a smart home. One could say a house, maybe a smart house, maybe featuring some old familiar faces, some old familiar voices, some old familiar voices. One could say from a future, something that sounds like DCOM-ARAMA, yet is a show somewhat in the future. One could say we did this intentionally. One could say Futurama, DCOM-ARAMA. One could say Katie Seagal is in this movie. Maybe that's what I'm hinting at here. Point being, folks, we're talking about something really special. Possibly the most nostalgic. Even Stevens is really nostalgic for me. I think I'd probably go back to it. Again, as I told you, I've gone back to it most. But this next one, though, folks, might be the most nostalgic for a lot of people. Might be. Just might be. It's like that one, like, oh yes, the minute you see it, it's like, oh god, yeah, I've seen that. Just when it's happened, come on the airwaves. I've seen this, folks. We're talking Smart House.
Yeah, excited for that one. All right, well, folks, the party has come to an end for now, at least. But don't you change that channel. We'll be back next time with another original offering from DCOM-ARAMA.
Ba, ba, da, da.
I'm gonna hurt you, Louis.